FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
2.5 or 3 weeks ago, the man sitting in that chair was Fouad Ajami, Middle East expert at Johns Hopkins University. Supporter of the Iraq War, in fact, received a medal from President George W. Bush. Not a supporter of the Afghan war, to my surprise, frankly. I hadn't realized his feelings on that. Point number one that he made is that there is no Afghanistan to put back together. The idea that it was ever a normal country is false. Different regions, different tribes, you got overlays of tribal conflict with this kind of black market that you were talking about earlier, with different, effectively, war chieftains. How do you respond to that? How do you respond to the notion that Lieutenant Colonel Austin was just, there's no country to put back together?
He's totally wrong.
That's wrong?
That's totally wrong. Kabul was the location of the best medical school in all of Asia in the 70s. And before the Soviets came in and destroyed that country and then triggered a civil war that's essentially now still going on, the hippie trail went through Afghanistan. I mean, it was a place that many, many Western visitors went. There are museums, there's ancient monuments that tourists would go to. I mean, it wasn't unified in the sense the United States is unified, but that doesn't mean it was in conflict. It was stable for decades before that.
It was stable.
It functioned. I mean, look, it's a funky place, and that's one of the things that makes it interesting. But
you get funky. Hold on, you've got unpack funky for me. What do you mean by a funky place?
Oh, there's tribes and there's nomads, and there's all kinds of scenes that look like they're right out of the Bible. If you grew up in Wisconsin, you're going to see, and you go over there, you're going to see things you didn't think you'd ever see.
Okay.
But it was a functioning country, and it was peaceful. It was peaceful enough that people went there in the 60s and 70s regularly. I mean, it was a real tourist destination, and I mean, it's sort of adventurous travelers, but people went there. And the Soviet invasion ruined that, and the country is still trying to put itself back together. So, in my opinion, he's completely wrong, and it can be done.
It can. Okay, let me give you one more quotation. This is a direct quotation from Fouad Ajami. Karzai, the president of Afghanistan, is a bandit, and the Afghan campaign can't be won. There's nothing to be gained for the United States in Afghanistan. It just doesn't end well.
I mean, he can't see the future any more than I can or you can. I'm sure there are people.
What kind of ending can you see, though? You must posit some happy ending, or you wouldn't be arguing as you are.
I mean, the Western world figured out how to drive the German army out of Europe. Right? They did D-Day. They pushed through France and pushed the Germans back into Germany. If they can do that, there's something like 10 or 20,000 Taliban fighters, essentially barefoot in the mountains with AKs. They can probably figure out how to win that fight. I think the problem isn't a military one in Afghanistan. I think it's a political problem in the countries of Europe and the United States. And if they really want to do it like they did in World War II, they can probably figure it out.